Welcome back to Self-Care is My Job. We are here. We're recording another episode. After a few years on pause, we're back on recording and we're offering some new conversations. As usual, these conversations have been and will be absolute pure freaking gold. And we're talking about self-care. We're talking about embodiment. We're talking about being authentic with one another, which is literally what we were just discussing. And I want to thank Turbo for joining me on this episode. And I just want to give you a moment to talk about who you are. There's a lot of facets. I realize that I'm the same way. So just jump in for just a sec. Tell us what you do and who you are. And then we'll just jump right back into the conversation we were having.
Okay, that sounds perfect. First, I want to say, Sam, thank you for having me. I fucking love you. And I love your community and I love what you stand for. And we are so in alignment with the way that we navigate the world. So I know that this conversation is going to be amazing. And I love that I get to share it with you and your community. My name is Turbo Rainbow. I am a coach. I am a fiber arts queen. I am mainly a web designer. I just created a business hosting retreats, which is very exciting. And I'm an all-around personal development baddie. I'm kind of obsessed with my own ability to self-reflect and grow. And I can't help myself. I constantly want to be sharing what I'm learning with other people. In the beginning of my journey, I felt kind of like a fraud. I think like lots of people do. But as I started to really just honor that it was happening no matter what, I realized that we all feel that way. And that it's important to just lean in and through the fear, because I make an impact wherever I go just by deciding to be present. And that goes the same for every single person that I interact with. And I think if we all just believed in ourselves just a little bit more, we would realize how much of an impact we have on this planet.
One of the things that you just said, that just stood out to me was you're like, this is happening anyway. You know, this is one of so many reasons why me and you have always connected over the years, because of that embodiment piece. That is an example. And let's just, kind of define it. I'm not really good at defining it in technical terms, but when we say embodiment, right? It's really presence. It's really moving into the little nudges and needs and desires and curiosities that you naturally have. So when you just said that, this is happening anyway. I felt like a fraud in the beginning, and then, I realized this is happening. I feel this need and desire and nudge to share with the world, to kind of lead when it comes to being authentic and vulnerable and letting people see me and being creative and allowing myself to be imperfect and all of these things. And when you said that, it almost took me down memory lane of when we think we're a fraud. And then, so what happens is every single time that nudge comes up, that feeling comes up, ooh, that's a good, I should share that, or something ooh, or what if I did this? And then that second voice or thought comes in after that's yeah, but what if I'm judged? Or that's not unique. You're not the first person to ever think of that. I mean, there's a few things that go off, but that's a regular, right? Anyway, this is happening anyway. And imagine, just going back in time of realizing how that feels and what it does really inside of us when every single time that happens, it's pushed down and it's pushed down and it's pushed down and it's pushed down. And then we wonder why we're walking around all foggy, uninspired, just feeling disconnected.
I want to piggyback off of that because you said, what is your thing that somebody else already did this? Is that what you said? And it makes me go back to the conversation we were having right before we turned on the recording, which is that the internet is built for connection. And so if I am worried that what I'm saying has already been said, I'm not reaching my actual community. I'm not looking at the billions of people on the earth. I'm looking at my favorite people, and I love it when they share themselves. And so having to remember that I'm already doing this. I'm doing this anyway. I'm going to be talking to my community without the screen on. But when the screen comes on, all of a sudden we're comparing ourselves to all of these different versions of influencers or whatever, and we forget the real purpose, which is connection. The community that we are accidentally building. I can't help myself. I'm building this community because I can't help myself. I should be nurturing this community. And so I love that you said that, because it's for me also a reminder. And that's actually what I'm really really integrating right now is like, it doesn't fucking matter what it looks like. It matters that I make it. It matters that I say it. It matters that I do it because my community is waiting for me to say something. Just like I'm waiting for my community to say something, you know?
Yeah.
I love that we both love saying something.
Yeah. Just keep saying all the things.
Keep
That's the
saying it.
point of this. I mean, it is true. What could be better than actually feeling safe enough to open up, but also acknowledging the fact that even, you know, based on those second thoughts that come in and what we experience, we all experience those moments where we're like, like, can't do that. You know, what would it be like if you got to a point where we could all just like shine? It's really, like you said, this is how we build our tribe, so to speak. Right? And so I'll kind of go from there to why is that important? Because for me, we were saying again before we started recording how me and you have known each other since, I think you said 2020. I'm like, I have no idea. I'm like, it's a long time. And so you have been my brand strategist, my web designer. We are now working together where I'm going to be attending and co-teaching at a retreat that Turbo is co-hosting. Like, what? But this is an example of the type of shit that can happen if you're open to it. I know a lot of times, especially us girls, us ladies, we're up against this kind of patterning where we are in competition. And I feel like especially when it, you know, there's always like this label for everything. Now a few years back, it was like the boss babes, like the women entrepreneurs. And it's like all of a sudden you have this compare game that's happening. It's very easy to get sucked into that. But what my point is, when we can be really unapologetically authentic, that's the only time that we alleviate that whole process for everyone involved. Because it becomes very clear that, like, you're not me. You're not intended to be like me. And I'm certainly not intending to be like you. I'm just trying to shine my light, my hue, the way it's going to come out or however it's going to land. And that's the other side of it. It's going to land for this person differently than it's going to land for this person. What you were saying before about actually allowing your community to show up for you because you just said what you needed to say. And I wish I could remember. God, I wish I could remember what it is that you said that hooked me. It was probably more than one thing, but you certainly did. Yeah, no, it's definitely the creative piece. You always inspire me with all of your colors and...
Oh my gosh, you're so sweet. I would love to talk about you coming to the retreat actually for a minute, because I think it's a real treat, and I'd like to piggyback on what you were saying about competition. I think we've been trained to be competitive because we live in this individualistic society. But the older that I get, the more I realize that not only can I not do it alone, but when I do it alone, it's pretty vapid. It's pretty exhausting. And when I link arms with people that I connect with, because connection for me is number one, and then number two, I really get to explore that person's gifts and zones of genius, I'm like, how could I not want to collaborate with them? Because once we collaborate, we can build like truly an empire. We can build a kingdom together. We can build that tribe that you're talking about. And it was such a darling and perfect connection when you were like, I want to go to this retreat. And I was like, actually, we really need this aspect of it filled. And I'm so excited to meet you because we've known each other for 5 years. You named that I was your brand strategist and whatever, but I'm also your friend. You and I have held each other up at different points in our lives and supported each other in ways that were unexpected. And so it's really fun to bring you even closer into my world and then also get to hug you in real life because you have been important to me and you live somewhere else and I've never touched you. And now I'm going to get to hug and squeeze you and meet you. It's going to be absolutely epic.
Can't wait, honestly. And you know, this is what happens too. I mean, I don't even know if I mentioned this to you when we first started talking, when you first, you know, mentioned that you were even hosting this retreat. I think I did. When I met you, that's when I learned about Asheville. Like, I didn't know that Asheville was a thing until I met you. And then, of course, just like anything else, so I'm talking about Asheville, North Carolina, where Turbo lives, by the way. It was interesting because, like so many other situations, first you had let me know that this place exists, and then I had heard about how it was like this awesome arts and music scene from like a few other people over time. And between knowing you and knowing one other client that I have that lives in Asheville, and just so happens to be, little side note for a good reason there, the way that she found me, because again, it's aligned with what we're talking about. She found me because she Googled, I kid you not, Yoga Sutra life coach. That's what she Googled. And we talk about that all the time because I'm like, I cannot right now. Did you really Google that? And she said that I was like the first that came up, and right away she was like, oh yeah, like this is exactly like the vibe I'm looking for. But again, that's her. It doesn't mean that that would have landed that way. And the fact that she actually went ahead and was very specific about what she was looking for, right? And found me. So then that was a couple of years after me and you met when I connected with her. And as soon as that connection happened, I'm like, I'm going to Asheville. Like I'm going. I don't know how, in what capacity. And then I kid you not, over the last 6 or 8 months, it was already coming on strong because I was working with her a lot too. And me and you had started working on a lot of new things together. And I'm like, not only am I going to Asheville, but I'm going alone. I knew that. And I literally thought I was just going, like, that was going to be my, like, easy solo trip. Like, I was like, oh, it's easy. It's here. It's not, like, overseas or anything. Like, it's an easy, I know 2 people who live there. I can visit. I can go by myself. I can scoop in and scoop out. I really wanted my own little, I'm gonna dip out for a few days, guys. Like, I'm gonna go. And then you presented this to me. And then you said, by the way, I'm hosting a retreat and I could actually use you to come and provide the yoga portion.
And let's talk about that too, because I want to talk about the fact that you already knew that you were going to come here and that you were going to come here without other people. I think a lot of times mothers have to really take a stand for choosing something that is separate from the family. So the fact that you were already rooted in that, because that's essentially what this retreat is for. And then second of all, you were like, I can offer all of these other things. And I was like, babe, I actually want you to offer a sliver, and then I want you to receive. Like, the whole point of this retreat is for women to be able to tap into a safe place where they can experience the peace of themselves without anybody else infiltrating. You know, like, the service that you're offering is your zone of genius. And I'm hoping that it will be super simple and easy for you. And then you'll get right back to fully receiving the good that you are constantly giving out to other people. And that's really what just so that I'm not marketing too much, but that I slip it in here. That is what this retreat is about. This is what Aurora Retreat is about. It's about building that community and that connection that we were just talking about, but also giving women permission to just tap into themselves for a moment. We really wanted to make it accessible financially as well. When you look at retreats out there, they're like 3, 4, 5 grand, and that's fine. And maybe we'll have one of those someday. But for me, the gift in this is that I'm able to provide a service at a very reasonable price where women can come together and have an intimate experience. It's capped at 11 women. So we're all going to get to know each other. It's going to be a deep, enriching experience. And then we'll leave with family, just like you and I met. I don't even remember how we met, but now I consider you family. I'm hoping that this will be the same thing and that we can continue to provide familial experiences as we grow. And I'm just so grateful that you're a part of that.
I love it. Yeah, no, this worked out perfectly. And again, you were just saying something. Women, we need a space where we can soften and just receive. I think that we've taken on a lot. I'm not saying that men haven't taken on a lot. In fact, men are also conditioned to be the provider and to work incredibly hard and to self-sacrifice in other ways. But women have taken on so much that it's almost like, I mean, this is just my viewpoint. It's almost like we have no choice but to take on this very structured, strategic, masculine type of energy where it's like this and this and this and this. And some of it is, you know, is really us just trying to check all the boxes and make sure that we feel like we've done enough or that we are enough. And we were, again, this is perfect because it's a full circle, I feel, into what we were talking about earlier of just like, we're already enough. Even if we take a few things off of our plate that is probably already way too much going on, right? to make space for a retreat, or even if it's just a freaking yoga class. What needs to happen in that case is we need to delegate, we need to set boundaries, but sometimes we also need to be okay that someone on the other end of that experience might feel disappointed, might feel discomfort, whether it's your spouse, your kids, whatever it is, the people that are depending on you to just show up the way that you do consistently, and then that helps to maintain their stable ground. It helps them feel grounded. It helps their mental state stay consistent. But what happens when we take the full responsibility of that person's grounded state, and we therefore can never delegate, set boundaries,
Right.
create space for only ourselves, literally, for, for potentially a finite amount of time. But we were talking about, for me, my example of this quickly was that, yes, I have added to my plate all wonderful things, because as we know, I consider myself this creative entrepreneur that I'm just sort of building and building, but it has forced me to not only get super strategic about where I'm going to set boundaries and what I'm keeping and what I'm letting go, but also has forced me to get comfortable making other people uncomfortable for a period of time, because I have to set those boundaries. A lot of times we won't set the boundaries because we don't want to offset someone else's mental state.
Right.
So we'll sacrifice our own.
I think that that's a skill set that we don't even teach. We're not taught that one of the adult skill sets that we need is to learn how to disappoint others, to understand and accept that disappointment is not only a part of life, that you're going to be disappointed, but that you're allowed to disappoint others. And then also, I was just thinking about, essentially, you're handing back their responsibility.
Yeah.
You're handing back his, her, their personal responsibility, and most people are like, oh my gosh, this is so much, and I'm like, actually, it's yours. It is so much. I've been holding it for a while. I love you. I'm giving this back. And I do think that a lot of women don't know how much they're holding until they take a weekend away to themselves. And then they're like, oh my gosh, I have been carrying an entire house worth of stuff, and actually I'm only responsible for me. Maybe I'm responsible for the kids right now, but my husband's responsible for his stuff, and I've been taking care of that too, and I'm going to give it back to him. So I'm also curious to follow up with you in April after the retreat as well, and see if there's anything that like you lay down that you don't pick back up.
I know. That's one of those things. That's always a level of any healing that you try to move into. What are we actually integrating? What are we really, really sustainably going to change? I was actually just talking about this with someone the other day, because for me personally, the somatics comes into play here. I cannot integrate anything. Like, I can go, whether it's going to a Reiki session or a workshop or a retreat, it could be any type of healing modality, right? I can't sustainably integrate it, meaning like I'm going to hold on to that shift that I felt, or that thing that I noticed, or that boundary that I had to set that like now I realize. I can't do any of it unless I have body awareness and I can slow down enough to feel the actual shift that happens. Like the example that's coming to mind right now, because it's so common, so let's name it, right? Elephant in the room. You prioritize yourself to go on a retreat, but you have kids and you have a spouse, and you are in fact holding so much responsibility in the household, be it mental load, emotional, literally regulating emotionally 4 people, right? And then how dare you leave for a few days and you feel that it is going to be chaos. And in 1 or 2 of those moments leading up to you going, it might very well be chaos, right? But what about how it feels when, maybe not when you arrive, maybe there is still a little bit of anxiety, maybe there's still a little settling in to do, but what happens when you can really notice somatically or like viscerally inside of you when that groundedness comes over you, when the load of that mental chatter continuous to do quiets finally. When you have this really beautiful connection with someone that you get to finally see in person and feel and touch them, and then just having like those really pure, vulnerable, special, meaningful interactions and engagements with somebody who might be new to you, right? Those moments, we call them glimmers, right? Like sometimes I call those glimmer moments. Those moments, if I have some level of nervous system regulation practice where I can slow down enough to notice somatically what is shifting in those moments, I have an easier time holding on to that sensation. And that's how we integrate, in my opinion, how we actually grow and heal sustainably from these type of things. So you're saying like, I'm going to check in with you after. Yeah, please do.
Yeah.
Because I got to like deliver on everything I just said. That's my plan. I think that that is a piece that is hard for people sometimes, is like not just going right back to the grind. And yeah, so then it was an escape, right? So in that case, fair enough then, right? Fair enough. You had your moment, just like you come here. This is where I also teach, where I'm at right now. You come here for whether it's an hour or 90 minutes or whatever, and you breathe and you move with me. And physiologically, of course, you're going to be in, hopefully down regulate, come into your, rest and digest, recover, and start to recover a little bit. Hopefully there's a bit of lasting of that, of that shift. But when you're attending a retreat and it's a little bit more of like let me not just escape here. Can I grow? Can I change? Can I evolve a bit in the process?
That is the goal. And that's why I wanted it to be at least 3 days long. A lot of times there's like weekend retreats and it starts on a Friday night. And I wanted to have full days there where women can completely unfurl. And when you were talking about that, it made me realize how thirsty we are for these experiences. Like Kylie and I have organized it so that we also get to rest. Like this isn't just about us providing, but there's going to be space for every person to receive. And there's nothing quite like a woman fully settled, fully rested, fully nourished. And how often do we really get to feel those things? We'll chase them. We'll build them for other people, but we won't often give them to ourselves. And what a gift.
Yeah.
And I wanted to pivot just a little bit because something that you said really hit me, and it was the way that you feel when you are doing too much. And I think that even somebody who is providing self-care podcast, everything gets promoted as self-care. We can still forget to stop and be with what our needs are. And I know that the medicine comes through us, through experiencing what we forgot to give ourselves first. And you and I have that in common. We're like, oh shit, there's that thing again. I'm going to do it for me. And then I'm going to talk about it, because if I don't talk about it, I won't have any ownership or accountability around it. It'll easily just slip back into the void. But also, I want people to feel validated. I want them to feel related to. This is such a relatable experience. It doesn't matter how conscious or aware you are. We're all going to skip a beat, forget a thing, forget to take care of these pieces of ourselves that really require our undivided attention. And if I can do that and share with you that it's okay, maybe I'll help you understand that it's nothing to be ashamed of, but to try to bring your awareness back to it as often as possible, so that you can have that depth of presence of self-care as nearly a routine in your life, instead of just I'm gonna do some self-care, I've got it scheduled. It's like, no, this is baseline. I'm gonna take care of myself.
Yeah. The geek in me wants to talk about physiology again.
Go ahead, let's hear it.
One of those things, right, that will invite us to ground and to feel a little bit more present is social engagement, like healthy social engagement. So I'm saying that not only as to say sort of in general, like that's part of why these retreats are like really important, like spend time together and connect. But it's the relating piece that you just brought up. Even if me sharing about what I'm experiencing and what I'm integrating just gives a moment for someone else to realize that I relate to what they're experiencing because I just gave voice to it. And they know that they're not the only one, and that what they're experiencing isn't something is wrong with them. In fact, it makes total sense because XYZ. And that is 9 times out of 10, whether I'm speaking with a student or a client or just an acquaintance in these days, right? Because I'll go on my tangents with just any old person these days. It's the first move I make. When somebody is vulnerably sharing with me, the very first move I make is to relate to them in any way that I can. And it isn't per se strategic because I've always been this way. It's happening regardless.
Right.
It's happening. And also because that is in fact human nature. Like it actually is. What's happening, what we tend to do when we start to overthink that is when we disconnect from ourselves, because it actually is human nature for us to look each other in the eyes. And going back to that physiology piece, right? Like I can tell whether you are safe for me to engage with by the look in your eyes, the expression on your face, and the tone in your voice. And so that if I'm getting that, that in itself will heal my nervous system from that. If I can make it my own personal, not responsibility, but just make it a practice to share vulnerably and make sure people understand that they're not alone in their experience. In my opinion, that is the epitome of leading. And regardless of whether I'm going to get on a soapbox or on a stage and give a talk or anything like that, or write books or whatever, we can do all those things. We can lead and we can really get the message out there. But what the most important thing is for me to just do this one-on-one with as many people as I can, lead the charge in being like, it's safe. It's totally safe for you to be experiencing that. There is nothing wrong with you. You're not broken. One of the things that I've been sharing a lot actually on the Self-Care is My Job page, because I want this sort of relaunch of the podcast to also include exactly what we're talking about, like my personal experience, so that it doesn't come off, like you said, as I am Miss, Queen Self-Care over here, and I spend, and I wake up every day and I come down and I do my journaling and I meditate and I do my yoga and I work out, but do you know how hard this is for me?
Yeah.
I know you know, because I know it's hard for you too. Is there a voice in my head that says, you're a fraud? Why can't you stay consistent? No, actually, I can stay consistent, but I need you. Literally, I need you on my side cheering me on. I need my girl Heather, who's now, again, I met online years and years ago, very similar thing, and now she's my personal trainer, and I have support is my point.
I also think it's about reframing consistency, because I think in a male-dominated world, we believe that consistency is every Tuesday and every Thursday and every Saturday, and if you're not doing that, you're not consistent. And it's like, actually, consistency is a commitment to coming back to this as often as I remember and as often as I can. Like, I have a commitment to going to the gym now. This is a commitment that came out of nowhere, but my body asked me to do it. And instead of being like, oh shit, I didn't get to the gym this week, being like, it doesn't matter because I'm not going to the gym. I just didn't get there this week. I'll be back. So removing the shame or the obligation, and really just reframing consistency, especially as women, because we go through different cycles and we're juggling all of these different things. Consistency has to look different for us, and it has to be flexible. And I love that we're talking about this, because I'm actually really starting to come into that right now, realizing like, oh, this is what a commitment is. A commitment isn't, I have to do this every day or else. It's, I'm going to do this for the rest of my life. I'm going to do this for the rest of my life. And sometimes I'm going to be doing it a lot, and sometimes I'm going to be doing it a little, but I'm never going to stop doing this. And I feel proud of that.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. It's not an easy thing to do, but as soon as we can start to come out of that black and white mentality, again, it's a very masculine approach. Looking at the science of it, men actually do need that consistency a little bit more, because just like biologically, we're very different. But for a woman or for, depending on how it just feels inside of you, regardless of what your gender is, like, does that sit well with you? Or is this consistency talk really just self-shaming? Is that the conversation that's happening?
Wow. Honestly, I love that you said that because self-shaming is one of the biggest things that is silent in the patriarchy. And if we're not naming it, we are shaming it. And so bringing a lot of awareness to all of the places that we other ourselves, all of these little tiny pieces of ourselves that we're othering and shaming. And then we're like, I can't get there because there's this shame in the way. It's like, pull that shit the fuck out, move it out of the way. It's not real. And get real with your body, your system, your mind, all of it. Slow down and meet yourself where you're at, and you're going to find out what your life really wants to be like. You're going to find out what you really need just through removing shame. And I think that that is like my number one main practice is like, oh my gosh, am I othering myself today? Well, need to do a little bit of tapping or whatever somatic experience to help me move through that. And then I'm going to ask myself what I really need.
Yeah. Isn't it funny too? I joyously warn my students and clients, like, hey, listen, once you start doing this work, just so you know, it don't end. Because you peel back one layer of that shame or that noticing when you are suppressing yourself or noticing when you are prioritizing someone else's physical or emotional state over your own. And so once you do that, it becomes a little more accessible to you. And then you notice another area you're doing it in. And then you notice another. And it's this beautiful ability to navigate your life in a so much more of an embodied way and a present way and an intentional way. But it's a lot of work sometimes. It's a roller coaster, but it's like so worth it. I mean, I don't know. And again, this is perfect because I feel like it's coming full circle. This is why me and you connected so wholeheartedly early on, I feel. We are students of life, and we both, in my opinion, know I see it in you, like it's the prioritization of that, to use Sanskrit, which is not my usual, but it's coming up of svadhyaya, of which is like self-study. It's the limb of self-study. I continuously want to grow. I will never abandon that piece of myself. I want to learn. I want to grow. I will move into the discomfort of that. Sometimes I need to take breaks, and sometimes I need to like go out and have 3 drinks and dance my ass off and be stupid.
That's part of it, though.
Totally. But so, like sometimes I need to be like, I'm off tonight. But like, for real.
But I think it's because you can't help yourself. Because I'd like to believe that it's me doing this, but I actually just can't help myself. Something happens, I reflect on it. I'm like, oh shit, I need to grow. Or something happens, I reflect on it, and then I'm like, oh shit, you've got to go. Whatever it is, there's always a piece of me that's growing, whether I like it or not. And so I have to presence it. And I do see that in you. I want to also honor that we live in a time when we can. Like, so many women died for our right to say no and yes. Like, no, I don't want that. And yes, I want this, and I'm going to go for it. And so even in these different structures that we can name and shape shift around, we still get to claim a piece of ourselves that we didn't get to claim 100 years ago, 200 years ago, 300 years ago. And so I would be doing all of those women a disservice if I didn't go fully after it. And I see that in you. I agree that that's how we connected, but we're also both bold. And that's really fun. When you meet a woman who's bold, you're like, listen, we got to talk about this for a second.
100%. And it feels so right. I think when you lean into those interactions and you, again, I use the word like a broken record, but when you start to notice what that feels like when you have an engagement with someone where it's like, ooh, okay, yes, like we are on the same page, leaning into that, you're going to also start to notice when you have an interaction with someone that doesn't come up for you. And you can protect your energy more intentionally then. You don't have to go down that line then. Hey, how are you? But yeah, so this is amazing. I just want to say, yes, I can't wait to throw my arms around you and just give you a good squeeze. It might happen several times. I can't even believe that we're going to get to spend time together in person. Will you just quickly do a little rundown of the details of the retreat just to make sure that whoever's listening, if they want to jump in there?
The retreat is in Asheville, North Carolina, which is a 15 to 20-minute drive away from the Asheville airport. It is March 26th through 29th. And we already have the schedule up on the website. You can check out neon.attitude.arts.com, and there will be a section there with retreats. We still have 5 spots left, but we only have 1 private room left. And the whole point of this shtick is for women to come home to themselves. Through all of this time of learning and integrating, facilitating safe spaces for women to connect and unfurl has just been speaking on my heart. So that's what we're doing. That's when it is. If you'd like to learn more, it's being led by Kylie Winkles and me, Turbo Rainbow. You can reach out to either one of us, or you can hook up with Sam, who is very close with me, and she can answer some of your questions as well. And then I just wanted to pivot and also tell you that I'm so proud of you. Like, you specifically have done so much good for this world, and I know that you are constantly bringing all of that, what you learn, back home so that you can give, and you learn and you bring it back home and you give, and you're such a beautiful part of my life, and I couldn't be more grateful to know you.
Well then. I also am incredibly grateful to you. You are truly, in the same fashion, you are an inspiration to me. I watch you, I see how you move through life in a way that is, for lack of a better word that's coming to me right now, it's creative. You lean into your curiosities and your creativity and your intuition in a way that is so clear to me, and it just paves the way for me to do the same. So this is what we all need. We need the teamwork. Like, I don't care near, far, we need that. We are not meant to do this shit in silos and by ourselves. That's why, I don't want to say unfortunately, that's why though, if you're gonna open up, you gotta open up. Like, that's how you're gonna attract the people who are gonna be your team. That kind of has to happen first. This is amazing. Okay, I'm gonna close us out to make sure we don't have hour-and-a-half long episodes like we used to have back in the day. It doesn't do the trick anymore. But don't forget to check out all of the information that will be in the description. There will be websites, there will be information to contact us if you want to learn more about our services, offerings, or the retreat. I cannot wait. I'm so honored that I get to offer the yoga piece so that, again, everybody playing a role in this experience, hopefully I can support the women become more present, down-regulate a little bit, so that honest, true, meaningful engagement and togetherness can happen. Because we really can't get that. We can't really get to that if we're on 10. We got to bring it down. So I really can't wait. It'll be amazing. And Turbo, as usual, I just love chatting with you, and we'll probably do this again at some point, and it's only fitting that you're one of the first that we recorded.
Oh, again. I had no idea how special.
Oh, yeah. Number 2.
Wow.
Number 2.
Wow.
It's perfect. All right, we'll talk to y'all soon.